Time now for our rants and raves, starting with Dan.
I have a rant for the demise of the improper Bostonian. We learned earlier this week that the improper, which had been around for 28 years, is going to cease publication. It was a free, glossy lifestyle, arts and entertainment publication. I know that back when Adam and I were at the Boston Phoenix, we certainly considered them a worthy competitor. And it's a difficult environment. Ad revenues continue to decline, and you hate to see anybody leave the media scene, and it's too bad. They're talking about maybe some way of bringing it back, but as we said about the Portland Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, when these things are gone, they tend to stay gone.
Somebody would have to step in right away.
Exactly.
And it was online. It's not like they didn't try to go online. Wasn't there an online arm?
Well, yeah, but there's no money online.
No.
I mean, there's even less money online.
And that's something you want to look at pictures.
Totally something you want to have a hard copy.
Yeah, you need a hard copy.
That being said, I probably read it last 5 years ago.
Yeah. All right, Adam.
I want to rant for the University of Massachusetts Boston, which engaged in this embarrassing crackdown on its student newspaper, the Mass Media, recently. UMass Boston had a welcome day to bring students who were thinking about going to the school there, maybe with students who's committed to going to the school. At the same time that they were coming for this welcome day, the Mass Media published a front-page story involving a hazmat incident on campus that had ended up with one student taken to the hospital. And I think we have a shot of a rack of papers. Initially, the admissions office asked the editor of the paper to not distribute it. When she said, no, we're going to distribute the paper, someone in the admissions office draped a coat over the newspapers. When the editor of the paper removed that coat, the papers were then turned around. What's more, at some point earlier that day, 200 copies of the paper had gone missing. Now, UMass Boston's come out and eaten crow and said, the admissions office does not believe that those events correspond with the values of the admissions office or the university itself, or words to that effect. Still, such an embarrassing and petty approach to take.
Really bad.
Yeah.
At the very least, they need a bigger coat.
Exactly. I don't see what that purpose that serves.
Tom, what do you got?
Umbrella. You know, this perfect setup for, I'm going to also talk about, I rant about, the broader sense is the state of what goes for free speech on campus nowadays. But in particular, I wanted to focus on Amherst College's, they published something called the Guide to Common Usage. And in it, they have a glossary of words and the way they should be used. And in their glossary, they define capitalism, for instance, is, and I'll read it, capitalism leads to exploitative labor practices which affect marginalized groups disproportionately. I don't know what they're teaching in terms of economics at Amherst College, but if that's what passes for, if that's what passes for it, it was certainly far to the left of what the Amherst College Republicans thought was, they're the ones who are feeling marginalized here. At the same time, it was interesting because Amherst College, the Republicans there, invited former Attorney General Jeff Sessions to speak on campus. The president of the university, Biddy Martin, stood by that invitation even though she didn't go. And a number of students had a protest. They stood up and walked out on the speech. But, you know, nonetheless, he was allowed to speak, which is a small victory. But this ought to be distressing to everyone about free speech
on college campuses.
Mike.
I will make it 4 for 4 with a rant as well against somebody we've already mentioned, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who I think is up to 47 days now, new White House record for not having a daily news conference. They did have one earlier this week. Mike Pence, the vice president, showed up, but it was only for Take Your Sons and Daughters to Work Day. They had a news conference with all of them, and they asked questions like, what kind of ice cream does the president like? And the answer was vanilla and chocolate. And so they broke their own record of 42 days without a news conference. I know that this is coming straight from the president, but still, I don't think the American public is being well served by holding back on daily news briefings from the White House.
I would give her a rave. We don't.
You would. You don't want any more Sarah Sanders?
We don't need any more fact-free news briefings from Sarah.
We seem to be going in waves. We all had raves last week. I have a rant also this week, and my rant is for ABC News, who last night put Robin Roberts front and center out to host its NFL draft coverage. And here's a little bit of Robin.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2019 NFL Draft. The excitement level here in Music City, USA is off the charts.
See, my problem with this is she's a news reporter. She's embracing the NFL. It sounds like an endorsement of the NFL. The next time she does a story about CTE or domestic violence involving the NFL, she's embraced the NFL. I would have put I would have made this part of the entertainment division and put some hot, what's his name, Michael Strahan or whatever his name is,
Oh, yeah.
somebody
He
like
would've
that
been
out there.
perfect.
But her, it made no sense to me.
Reduced her credibility.
Well, I mean, I know she's a sports fan and all that, but it reduced the credibility for me of ABC.
Of ABC.
Yeah.